10th, Radnor Township School District Finance Committee meeting. And I'd like to start off with, we have Michelle Deco and Mr. Batchelor, and I'd like to start off with administrative remarks.
I don't have any administrative remarks.
That makes that great. And then we're going to move right into public comment. If we have any, if you have a moment to please sign the sign-in sheet to the side. And then come forward. Welcome, Dr. Winters.
Good evening. Good evening. I just would like to make a comment in terms of what I read, and I was not at the meeting where the technology program was presented. What I'm concerned is the financial matter to be charging people in the community who have children over $100 toward the price of a computer. I don't think that that's something that's doable by everybody in the township, and I think it puts people who are too proud to ask for help sometimes in a difficult situation. I think a computer is a necessity in today's world, and not to provide that as you would a book for a child is not appropriate at this time for our school district. We are not destitute. I think considering how we spend money, providing students with an essential tool for learning should be something that everybody who is concerned about the success of children and their financial and home situation should be provided by at no cost. Thank you. My other points are, these are related to the meeting that I just attended. One is, I would hope that as you look at bus replacement, which we were provided with tonight by Mr. Hearn, you will see that some of the newer buses are actually costing us more than some of the older buses. And perhaps we might want to sell some of the newer buses who have perhaps more stringent emission controls pieces on their machines to get rid of those rather than the older ones that are costing us less per mile to maintain. So just look at those charts to see if you might want to rethink about whether you're selling older or newer diesel buses as you move forward. The second thing is, I realize that the Radnor Conservancy along with the Township and I believe Chanticleer is sponsoring a tree giveaway in April, and I was wondering if there was a need for the Township, the school district, to perhaps request some trees that might be useful in other places in the Township. I don't know if that's something that you're going to be doing, but that's a way you can save money as opposed to planting things at your own cost. Or purchasing the trees anyway, if you plant at your own cost. And the other thing I was wanting to look into, and I would hope Michelle might do this, as you look at the ongoing issue of the bleacher replacement, is the fact that with recent action, we may want to look at perhaps obtaining steel before the prices go up, given recent tariffs and threats of tariffs. So considering the amount of steel that might be required to replace bleachers at both fields, it may be smarter to reserve and get a bid in sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Winters, and thank you for tying all your facility comments into money. For the finance meeting. Is there any other public comment?
It was actually a challenge when I cut off the public comment to see if you could do it.
Oh, well done.
What's this?
Welcome, Mrs. Spurtle.
Good evening, Cindy Spurtle, 106 Valley Bridge Terrace, Wayne. Just one quick change on the minutes before we my comment on the minutes referred to millage, not mileage. The very last comment on the minute page. I think it's that's just a quick typo, but before you approve them.
Well, I think we should reduce our mileage for those gas and diesel costs too.
That wasn't my comment.
That's all your public comment?
No.
Oh, you said you just had one comment.
This was this was from last month's, before you approved last month's.
I got it, thank you.
This is the problem with me tonight. Teacher absentee report. The absentee study on substitutes and absenteeism on teachers, I believe back in late fall, was transferred to the finance committee from the curriculum committee?
Other
It
way.
went the other way around. Okay. That's why we haven't had anything from finance. And then the other is, well, whichever way it's gone, there has not been a report for months.
Great.
So are we spending more on substitutes or not? So I'll bring it back into finance after dinner. Is there more being spent on finance? And that's the direction it was heading. The absentee rate on the teachers was growing. And the other question I had is on the dispute of the complainant against a board member, the ongoing complaint. A contract was signed for an investigator, and if I remember correctly, that contract has been extended. Is that the case? And the other question is, another comment that's been made is that the staff is spending a lot of time on this investigation. So the question is, how much is being spent for the investigator and additional time for the staff? And maybe it's time to get this resolved quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Judy Sherry, Governor's Circle in Town Square.
Welcome.
Related to the previous meeting, I think it's a good idea to bring in multiple architects to at least interview them. You might get other ideas, even if you decide not to necessarily choose that architect. And you also might get different ideas of cost from different architects. I too would like an update on the cost of investigating the board member. And at a previous meeting, the superintendent reported that reevaluating the administrative structure and filling administrative positions will be part of the budget discussion. Will this mean changes in the organizational chart, and that a future changed chart will include job descriptions? At the January 16th minutes, there was a discussion about booster organizations and the fact that the administration does not review fees, but believes that the organization should be more transparent and is developing a manual for these groups. The district currently receives financial information from the athletic booster organizations, which is reported on the Athletic Opportunities Disclosure Report, according to those minutes. So today I just took a quick look at this particular report. And a review of the athletic opportunities from 2016 to 17 and 2015 to 16 indicates that the Football Booster Club contributed $0 toward purchases for football. In 14-15 there was a $31,000 contribution, and in 13-14 there was a almost $28,000 contribution. What's the explanation for that? Point of comparison, baseball contributed $26,853, basketball $22,000, lacrosse $35,000. So it's pretty surprising that football is listed on this disclosure as $0. And related to an activity today, Mark Zuckerberg is testifying on Capitol Hill today. The district needs a new policy regarding any information collected or data about our students can only be used for educational purposes. Digital sports and other commercial enterprises that are using students' personal information for advertising purposes should be asked to send a representative to the district to publicly explain its business model, its privacy policy, how students' information is protected, how long is the information stored, and if there has ever been a breach with these protections. The district needs transparency around advertising. Let's put in some real safeguards for students. It's a complicated and complex issue, and many people really just don't understand it. They just go ahead and sign off. when I look today, I mean, we promote this digital sports. We tell people, you know, this is a free service, but it's not free. And that's the issue. It's not a free service. We're paying with the different system with students' information. So I think it's important that this appear for the Finance Committee, because it's something we don't pay. And we pretty much promote it without really giving parents another alternative of where to get the sports information. We tell them to go to the digital sports, and if they have any questions, just deal with that particular commercial enterprise as opposed to our being responsible. So I bring that forward.
Thank you, Mrs. Sherry.
And I too would like to know about the latest substitute report, because back in the fall when we first got a substitute report, it was very clear that the teacher absenteeism had increased considerably. And several of us asked what the explanation was for that. Since then, we've been told that it's been moved to another committee. I don't know where the reports are, but I have not seen one. If someone could point me to one, I'd love to take a look at it. So if someone knows that it's been presented to curriculum on a certain date, if you could just share that information.
Mrs. Sherry, your time's up. Thank you. So, Mrs. Deco, before we approve the minutes, I just want to say very quickly, that with regard to the question about the investigation, yes, we have extended the contract. The rest of those questions, I would request that you not respond. It's a confidential matter at this stage. So I just want everyone in the public to understand, I'm requesting that you not address confidential questions at this stage. Thank you so much. Alrighty. And this committee is not going to be looking at the substitute reports anymore. We did that to address if there was a pay structure that would help with the number of substitutes that we needed to fill. We feel that this committee addressed that. We reviewed it for a number of months. We are getting a better fill rate, so we're not discussing that particular piece anymore at this committee. And so questions about that, can be referred to curriculum, because it's just not, I want to manage people's expectations. We're not going to continue to review teacher substitute reports at this committee any longer. We did a fix, it corrected it, it helped with it, and we're moving on at this committee. So,
and I believe the sub-reports are under the HR part of the website, I believe, as well. The
super.
Reports we've had.
Great. So, Mrs. Deco, those questions have been answered now, so we're good with those. Alrighty, with that, I'd like to move on to approval of the minutes. With the minor change, are you okay with them, Sarah? Great. With the minor change to the last word on public comment, I would move that we approve them. And let's go right into our agenda items. First one is the presentation by the DCIU and a preview of the DCIU budget. We'd like to welcome Tom Brown, the Chief Financial and Operating Officer of the DCIU. So welcome, thank you for being here.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, good, thank you.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, so what I asked a little earlier is just a little bit of services that the IU operates. Just for your knowledge on services that are received through Radnor Township and the DCIU. We had a couple budgets that we had approved at the DCIU, and just to give you a little bit of background on the IU, which I'm not sure how many know what the IU is about. With the DCIU, intermediate units were created in 1970 by legislation, and we're one of 29 IUs across the state, and we're required. We provide services to our member districts, and our member districts are 15 member districts in Delaware County. With the state, we're mandated by school code to provide 7 specific services, and we expand from there. Those areas of services include curriculum development, instructional improvement, educational planning, educational technology, continuing professional ed, pupil services, state and federal liaison, and a leadership support services. So those are the services that are required from an IU, and then we expand from there. As far as the DCIU general operating budget, that's the administrative budget, and that's where we begin to build the basis for the IU budget. And so with that, we provide you a summary of the budget. And to review the information within this budget at a high level, what we do is we do have a charge to the member districts, which is at $885,000 a year, and that's been unchanged for 20 years. One of the good things about an IU is that with the additional services we're able to provide through other programming, we're able to bring in an administrative service charge, which offsets cost and keeps the district cost to this budget level. This budget is one of 60 budgets that we operate. This budget is $9.1 million for the general operating budget. The remaining budgets, our total overall operations is about $123 million in operations through 60 different budgets. With this particular budget, we have about 70% of the revenue that comes in to support this budget comes from state and federal sources through other programs that we operate. And in this particular budget, we offer services that are collaborations throughout the county. Some of the collaborations is through like joint purchasing, and we also are the financial manager for the Delaware County Public Schools Trust, so we oversee the finances for that, and we have money coming in for that. So overall, those savings over the course of the year account for about $13 million in savings to our member districts countywide. With the DCIU general operating budget, the amount of money that comes into the IU, which is again is the $885,000, that comes in through the member districts, and it's withholding by the state. That formula is a calculation that's a state calculation. That calculation is based on the market value aid ratio and the weighted average daily membership per district. And based on that information, we send the amounts to the state, and they they do the formula, and it will come back and indicate how much each of our member districts will contribute for that given year. So within the budget, you'll see that we show a 6-year trend or a 6-year history of what the district's contribution is to the IU budget. And it doesn't change very much from year to year because the weighted average daily membership and the market value aid ratio does not change very much from year to year, but it does fluctuate just depending on the formula. I do highlight in the summary book of the budget, I highlight 2 pages on the Public Schools Health Trust. I do that just so that we can see each year how much money the districts are saving, or actually through cost avoidance being in a self-insured trust. And I think we're pretty proud of the over the 4 to 5 year history of that cost avoidance has come over $71 million. With the trust retaining about $34 million in the trust for reserves for future payments. One other thing about the trust is that it's taken on 34 municipalities participate now with the trust throughout the county, and the community college just came in February to participate in the trust. So that is a quick summary of the administrative budget. We also have a technical school budget, which is the CTE program. We operate the technical school program through the county, and with the technical school budget, we have 2 buildings in the county that are operating tech school programs, which is the technical school at Aston and the one in Fallcroft. We do have a 3rd building in Marple, which operates several other special programming within that building, as well as an LPN program and 1 or 2 CTE programming. With the the Delaware County Technical School budget, that budget is at $13.6 million. And what we try to do each and every year is we try to stay within the Act 1 index, because we are aware of the challenges that districts are facing with the Act 1 index. So for say for the past 7 or 8 years, as long as that index has been here, we have been at that index or lower, mainly at the index. So for next year, the technical school budget, which is a $13.6 million budget, is increasing at a net 2.4%. And the net 2.4 is, if you annualize all the costs, it's at the 2.4. But because we added one additional position, that brought the total up to 3.31. That one additional position was for medical careers expansion program. So we build that in, and that comes in after the fact. For next year, we budgeted a 2.4% increase. We also have added one other position for this year. For next year, it's a biomedical technology laboratory science program. So the technical school is starting to expand. It's been expanding the past several years in high-end type of programming that a lot of our districts have been taking advantage of. With this budget, we do have several different types of services in here. We have the regular half-time program, which is what people generally are used to within the CTE program. And with the regular half-time program, the funding is built on a 3-year averaging method, which looks at your 3 years recent ADMs and projects out the cost based on that, so that you don't get a large fluctuation from one year to the next due to increased enrollment or decreased enrollment. So it kind of levels that out over years. And then we do have a special ed component of the technical school, which is the Skill Start and TCA program. That program is more specialized for kids with certain type of needs and disabilities, so they would become part of the technical school through that type of program. But that programming is run on a tuition basis. So there's a little bit more variance from year to year if you were to increase the enrollment in that area or decrease enrollment in that area. So as far as the IU budget and the technical school budget, because the IU budget is a state mandated budget, the IU board, which is represented from one board member from each of our member districts, that is accepted at our district just this past month, and then what we have to do with the IU budget is submit it to our member districts and ask them to take action on that budget. So what we look for is we need two-thirds majority. We need a weighted majority of our member districts to approve that budget, and we then need to file that with the state by May 30th, as you would file your own district budget with the state. The technical school budget, a little different with that. It's a budget that we do have our board members, our board accept that budget also to send out to our member districts for their board action. With that budget, a little different. We need to have 2/3 majority of our member districts approve that budget.
I'm sorry, can you just say the difference between those two budgets again? The first one was.
You're not Mike.
Sorry, the weighted majority budget was which one? I'm sorry.
The Delaware County IU general operating budget
Okay, and the one that needs 2/3 is the technical school
is
budget?
the technical school budget.
Okay, thanks.
And actually, quick, what's a weighted majority? What does that mean?
If there's a weighted average daily membership, so that's based on your ADM and it's weighted based on your school district. Okay, so in the county, Upper Darby's a little bit larger, so they may have a little bit more weight to their ADMs. Radnor's a little smaller, so they would not have as much weight to it. So it's weighted based on the districts within the county.
It's based on our participation,
Particip-
participation of our students.
Participation of the students, and also I believe the size of the member districts.
Thank you.
So I think you just need us to forward this up to the board, right? That's
We're getting the agenda for next.
Correct. I just, you know, we're not gonna, this isn't the venue to get into conversations about the program itself, you know, big questions about the program itself, but thank you for giving that overview. But do we have any questions, Sarah?
Yeah, I guess I'm very impressed, but I'm a little, I question how you're actually managing to stay within the same budget for 20 years, given the changes everybody else is facing. And so I just wanna, and it probably goes to a programmatic question, so if it belongs in the regular board meeting, say so, but I guess I'm wondering.
He's the CFO, he's just that good.
I mean, I guess I wanna know what the cost, what we're losing in keeping the budget where it is? You said something about administrative fees we're able to charge, so are you getting that money somewhere else?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We have 60 different budgets that we operate in the IU for all different services, coming from early education all the way up to adult programming. And with all those programs and operations that we have, we charge an administration fee to each of those budgets, and then that administration fee will come into the IU to offset costs within the IU budget, the general operating budget. So as we add more services through other means, we can generate administrative costs from those budgets and bring it into the IU, which offsets the IU budget, and therefore we did not have to increase that budget for the past 20 years. And a good example is probably about 12 years ago, we brought in the federal program for Head Start, which was a $7 million budget. So when you operate a program, you also take an administrative fee. So we take an administrative fee, and that would go into the IU budget. It's based on a restricted rate as assigned by the federal government, so it's generally about 7%.
So basically, you're offering some services, fee services, that subsidize the cost of the general budget, and that's how you're able to keep it at 2.4.
For the general operating budget, that's how we keep it at a 0% increase from year to year.
Right, okay.
For the technical school budget,
Index.
It goes up by the index.
And by the way, how'd you achieve it? What does it mean to be a net index? Where did you save money that your 3.3 netted to 2.4?
We look at the budget, and our goal is always to stay within the index, okay? And so when we increase the budget from year to year, it has generally stayed within the index, unless we've increased programming. So if we added a teacher in a budget of $13 million, adding one teacher adds about 1% of a cost. So that 1% of the cost is not part of that 2.4% index. Our actual cost increase for next year is like 3.3%, but that's only because we added more programming. We back out that one teacher, and it goes back down to 2.4.
Okay, got it. Are you held to the index? You're not held to the index the way districts are.
We are not held to the index, but we meet with the superintendents.
It's just a statutory question. You're not statutorily held to the district.
And when you say index, well, I know that, but I mean, do you have your own? Do they calculate your own? Because like it's different among the county, every district in the county.
Yeah, thank you.
So are you just using a weighted average, or?
No, we actually have stayed with the lowest of the index at the, not the adjusted index, but at the base index.
Base index.
And we do meet with the superintendents and the business managers, and we review these budgets with them prior to bringing them out to the district. So we know we know we have to keep those dollars low from year to year within these budgets.
Okay.
I appreciate that. I was just curious about, because I know the index varies across
Yeah.
the county. But
We're at the base.
Yeah.
Do you guys have other questions financially, Mike? Okay. So, two things. On our agenda, are we going to see two different line item approvals, one for the general operating and then one for the technical school budget?
You will see two line items. One is for the general operating, and one is for the technical school. But
Correct.
there's also a third one that you'll see,
Right.
which is for the special ed contract. We have a separate
Sure.
budget, which is the Delaware County Special Ed
Mhm.
program.
Right.
Unlike these two, that does not need to come out to the members
Right.
for a vote. But what you do get out of that one is the cost for special ed services for students that are attending IU programs that are coming from Radnor, and that's based on the contract.
Sure, and the first two contracts are both going to be roll call, yes? Are they both roll call DCIU budgets?
Have to look, I do not.
Yeah,
believe-
that's fine. Yeah, I think we did. The last question, which is more of a programmatic, so I'm not really expecting you to give a full answer, but do you have a process in place where you get feedback from the districts in terms of, are you meeting the needs or of what the county school districts are looking for in a DCIU? What's the, at some point, we talked about maybe doing a workshop of some sort, just to kind of understand, how you grow to know what kinds of services and what kinds of, programmatically, what services, various districts in the county are asking for and need, and, what works, what doesn't work, what kind of feedback you get, which then helps you drive your budget in the sense of the services and programs you provide.
Yeah, actually, with the technical school budget, we have a PAC committee, which
Okay.
is a professional advisory committee, which is made up of superintendents, and they help guide the technical school budget. And in that case, they help develop, recommended that we add the biomedical career program and also add medical careers. We do have job-alike group meetings with the superintendent's executive director, business managers, pupil personnel, curriculum, special ed. We're meeting all the time, and we listen to what the needs are of our member districts, and we take that back and we figure out what the program needs are for the IU operations. We'll decrease services when we see that there aren't as much needs in a particular area, but we'll also add services if there is a need.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. You know, there's a lot of feedback through a lot of different opportunities, whether it's the curriculum directors who meet, or whether it's the superintendents or the business managers who meet. So thank you.
Great. Alrighty, well, oh, go ahead.
No,
Thank you so much for coming out. And we
It
will
is a
see
roll
this-
call vote.
Yes, I thought so. So we'll see the vote on the agenda on the 24th. Great, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks for coming.
Ready, just being mindful of the time, we're gonna move right into the next agenda item is the PlanCon approval.
There's actually one more agenda item that's grouped in with the DCIU
Oh, I'm
approvals,
sorry.
and that's for the disposal of library books, obsolete library books
Oh, right,
at the
right.
high school. Again, whether we dispose, donate, or sell those items depends on the condition of those items.
Okay, great, thank you so much.
And then the last item is 2 PlanCon approvals for the bonds that we refunded back in November. We have, because we refunded those bonds, we're required to do PlanCon K for the Series A and the Series B of 2017. That just needs to be voted on by the board and then submitted to PEE.
Okay, so it's more of a
It's just-
administrative task.
Yep, it's just a housekeeping issue.
Great, now, when you and I talked last week, maybe for the board meeting, because I think people will wanna know, the amount of money we ultimately ended up saving on that bond refinancing.
We can put that right in the resolution
Yeah, that
on
would-
the agenda.
That would be great. I think that we'd all be interested, because we kind of sent it out with parameters resolution, and then, never heard exactly back how that all went.
Right, and that was a variable rate bond that we refunded in 2 pieces.
Right.
So we can put that right in the resolution so that everyone's aware of what the savings were.
Sure. Ballpark, do you happen to know? And I don't want to put you on the spot, so.
I
24?
don't recall, and that's when I was out. I don't know
Okay.
if Penny recall.
No worries. We'll see it on the 24th.
We'll put it on the agenda.
We saved money.
We did save money.
Super. Okay.
And we
Yeah.
saved more than we had anticipated that we were going to save. I do
Okay,
recall
great.
that. So-
Super. And I know that wasn't a huge one. Alrighty, great. Do we have any new business?
Negative.
We're good? All right, let's have our final public comment.
Seeing none.
No. So I'm calling final public comment. Alrighty, seeing none, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Great. Thanks, everyone.